The night was bitter cold, the kind that cuts through even the thickest coat. Most people hurried down the city sidewalks, heads stuck, desperate to get home. But Daniel Carter, a single father and one of the city's youngest CEOs, wasn't like most people. Tonight, after a long day of meetings and contracts, he chose to take the long way home. Sometimes he liked to feel the world outside his glass tower to remember that life wasn't always about numbers and deals. That's when he saw her, sitting on the stone steps of an old library, shivering under the pouring rain, was a woman clutching a worn backpack to her chest. Her clothes were clean but damp, her hair stuck to her face, and her eyes carried a kind of exhaustion he recognized. She wasn't someone who had given up, no, it was the look of someone who had fought too long without a break. For reasons he couldn't explain, Daniel stopped walking. "Miss?" he asked gently. She flinched, startled, before turning her head. Her lips trembled as if she wanted to speak but couldn't find the strength. "I'm fine," she whispered, though she clearly wasn't. Daniel glanced at her backpack, at the way she held it like it was the last piece of her dignity. "You'll freeze out here," he said, her eyes flickered with pride, that kind of quiet resilience of someone who had spent their life helping others but didn't know how to accept help herself. "I said I'm fine," she repeated, though her voice cracked. Daniel hesitated. He had seen suffering before. His late wife had battled illness for years before passing, leaving him alone to raise their young daughter, Emma. He knew what struggle looked like, and this woman had it written all over her face. But he also knew the power of one simple gesture. He pulled off his coat and draped it over her shoulders. "Take it. You need it more than I do," he said softly. The woman blinked back tears. Why would you help me?" "Because I've needed help once, too," Daniel replied. Then he asked the question that would change both their lives forever. "Come home with me." Her name was Claire Bennett, and just a year ago, she had been a nurse at St. Mary's Hospital. She told him her story slowly, haltingly, as he brought her to his apartment, where Emma was already asleep in her room. Claire had worked nights, cared for patients with compassion, and dreamed of becoming a head nurse. But when her mother fell ill, she quit her job to care for her full-time. Medical bills piled up, her savings vanished, and after her mother's passing, Claire found herself with no family, no home, and no chance to get back on her feet. Daniel listened silently, his heart tightening. He thought of Emma's sleep down the hall, how fragile life could be, how quickly everything could collapse. "I don't want your pity," Claire said, her voice breaking. "You don't have my pity," Daniel replied firmly. "You have my respect. You gave up everything for someone you loved. That's not weakness, that's strength." Tears slipped down her face, and for the first time in months, Claire didn't feel invisible. She felt seen. Days turned into weeks. Daniel offered her a guest room, and though she resisted at first, she finally accepted. Slowly, she became part of their routine. Emma adored her drawing pictures for Claire, sneaking into her room to ask for bedtime stories, laughing in a way Daniel hadn't heard since his wife passed. And Daniel? He found himself looking forward to her presence. She cooked simple meals with care, folded laundry with Emma at her side, and sometimes, when she thought no one was watching, stood by the window staring at the city lights with a longing that broke his heart. But not everyone approved. At the company, whispers began when they saw Claire waiting for him in the lobby one day. "The CEO and the homeless woman," they muttered. "He'll ruin his reputation." Daniel ignored them. For the first time in years, he felt alive again. He wasn't just building a company, he was rebuilding a family. Claire, however, couldn't shake the feeling of being a burden. She had once been independent, proud, capable. Now, every kindness Daniel showed her cut deep because it reminded her of what she had lost. One evening, as Daniel tucked Emma into bed, Claire stood in the doorway, watching the warmth between father and daughter. Her throat tightened. She didn't belong here. This was their home, their world. She was just temporary. That night, she packed her bag, but Daniel noticed. He found her by the door, trembling with guilt. "You were just going to leave." His voice wasn't angry, just filled with hurt. "I don't want to drag you down," Claire whispered. "You've already done too much. You deserve someone who adds to your life, not someone you have to save." Daniel stepped closer. "Claire, don't you see? You already have. You've given Emma laughter again. You've given me hope. You don't have to walk this road alone anymore. Not with us." Her eyes filled with tears as he reached out and gently touched her hand. "Let me believe in you the way you believed in everyone else." Inspired, Claire decided to fight for her future again. With Daniel's encouragement, she applied for a nursing program that would help her re-enter the medical field. It wasn't easy. There were interviews, exams, and moments where doubt nearly consumed her. But each time, Emma's little voice cheered, "You can do it, Miss Claire." And each time, Daniel stood beside her, steady and unwavering. Months passed. Claire worked hard, balancing her studies and part-time shifts at the hospital, slowly regaining the confidence she thought she had lost forever. Daniel, meanwhile, juggled his role as CEO and father, but he found joy in every chaotic moment, especially when Claire's laughter echoed through their home. One spring evening, as cherry blossoms bloomed across the city, Claire walked out of her graduation ceremony in her nurse's uniform, certificate in hand. Daniel and Emma were waiting, clapping wildly. Emma ran to her, throwing her arms around her waist. "You did it." The little girl beamed. Claire looked up at Daniel, her heart swelling. Tears blurred her vision. "I wouldn't have made it without you." Daniel smiled, his eyes soft. "No, Claire. You just needed someone to remind you how strong you already were." That night, under the stars, Daniel took a deep breath. "Claire, you came into our lives when we didn't even know we needed you. I asked you to come home with me once. Now I'm asking again. Not just for tonight. Not just for a while. But forever. Will you stay with me, with us?" Claire's tears spilled over as she nodded, overwhelmed. "Yes, yes, I will." Emma squealed with joy, wrapping her arms around them both. And in that moment, three broken souls found healing in each other.